What is good, y'all? Welcome back to Appreciate Greatness. Been a while since I've recorded, but today, hopping right into it, we're discussing every NBA team, what they're looking like. I think we're about a little more than a quarter of the way through, maybe about a third, somewhat close to a third of the way through the NBA season. And so I wanted to take a break and stop and talk about every single NBA team, how their season's faring, what kind of led up to where they're at right now. Great to be back. The reason I was gone, if you can see that, there's a scooter behind me, and there's a boot somewhere around me, somewhere. I got surgery on my ankle. I'm playing basketball in college, and been busy, but we're back. We're here. So I write articles now too. So I'm gonna publish. Basically, my script is gonna be published to my website. I don't know the link. I'll leave the link in the description below, so y'all check it out if you're watching. We're gonna start ABC order. Atlanta Hawks. Moving on from Dejounte this offseason, I didn't know what to expect. It looked pretty bleak for them, and here comes a team who's kind of, you know, question marks. Is Trey just going to take the reins of the offense? Because we know Trey is in offense. He's the offensive system if he has to be, and he's done that, but he hasn't shot well. But he's still been one of the best playmakers. I think he leads. I think he's averaging the most assists since 1994 right now, which is insane. And then, Jalen Johnson takes another step, but you bring in Dyson Daniels for that DeJounte trade, who kind of seemed almost like a throw-in. Obviously, we knew he had potential. Obviously, he's a young player, and he's led the league in steals. He's racking up deflections each and every game. He's gonna break the record, almost double it, in deflections, which is incredible. And he's kind of given them an identity. The Hawks have finally found this identity, even though the record doesn't really necessarily reflect that. They have been a much more defensive sound, defensive rounded team, and it's helped them get some wins at times. Moving on, the Boston Celtics. They've been what we expected, right? They drive and kick. They move the ball. Jason Tatum's been outstanding. I don't think he gets the love and the credit that he deserves. Peyton Pritchard's taking this jump into like six man of the year type player. Kristaps has been and that's the one knock I have on them is their rim protection without Kristaps kind of worries me. But to me, they're still easily the NBA Finals championship favorites. The Brooklyn Nets. They've had a pretty fun year this year. They've had career years from Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson. Um, and Dennis Schroeder even had a career year before he was traded to the Warriors. I wrote this before he was moved. And so they have some interesting decisions to make. How much do you pay Cam Thomas? Do you want to trade him and let someone else figure it out? Because he's going to be worth a lot. He's going to be worth a lot because a championship caliber team's going to want to bring him off the bench. He's got a cheap contract. Someone could trade just 5 firsts for Cam Thomas right now. No young players, just a throw in to make the money match. Just one guy. Not 5, that's a little exaggerated, but 2 or 3, and now they get themselves a Cam Thomas, and they have to figure out what they're going to pay, and you have another chance to draft, and the next Cam Thomas, maybe Trey Johnson from Texas in this draft. And the next one is with Cam Johnson having this type of year. I think you have 2 years left on his contract. Do you want to move him now? Do you want to get rid of him this season? Just go all in. I think Joe Tsai, I think is how you pronounce his name, Tsai, the Nets owner was just kind of like, this is, or GM is like, this is for sustained success down the line, which basically means we're trying to tank. The Hornets, they've had a weird year. LaMelo has been nothing short of insane to watch. The shots he takes, sometimes they go in, a lot of times they don't. He's been really inefficient, but all his shots are pretty much found by him, made by him, and so he could use another guy who can handle the ball by him. Brandon Miller with LaMelo has been basically the same exact thing as LaMelo, just putting up shots, hoping they go in. I do love what they have. Mark Williams came back tonight. LaMelo and him have a good connection. He looked fine. He looked good. They just, they could use an efficient scorer. Miles Bridges hasn't been that. Trey Mann has been pretty good, not super efficient off the bench. They could just use a guy who's efficient, who can take some stress off of LaMelo at times, and who can stay healthy. The Bulls, they're another team who has some decisions to make. Zach LaVine has had he's awesome, man. He's really good. He tries defensively. He's a good 3-point shooter. Can make something happen off the dribble. I think you're gonna see the Pistons in that sweepstakes. You're always gonna see a team like the Heat in that sweepstakes. And Vucevic, man, Vucci Mane has been spectacular. He's gonna be probably the premier center, but the weird thing about the center position is it's the anchor of the defense. You hear that all the time. It's such a like precise position that teams want this. They have this certain guy that they're building around in their head, and they want exactly that. If they don't get that, they're kind of steering away. So it's going to be interesting to see, with Vooch. Josh Giddey, you're going to have to pay him soon. What are you going to pay him? Just a lot of questions for the Bulls as well as the Nets. The Cavs, I mean, been far and away the best team in the NBA. Their four guys have been spectacular. Isaac Okoro, if you look at his basketball reference, you sort by his three-pointer, it's going to be this year, last year, the year before, the year before, the year before. He's gotten better every single year, built up. He's shooting like almost 50% from three this year, I think, last time I looked. I mean, they have so many role players around those guys. Ty Jerome's, like I said, Isaac Okoro, just guys who can alleviate pressure from the guards, but also, just play their role perfectly. And they've been absolutely fantastic. The best team in the NBA record-wise. Next, we have the Dallas Mavericks. They proved to be an elite team last year. I have my questions, but you can't ever bet against Luka. You can't ever bet against Kyrie. PJ Washington has been fantastic. He's been fantastic, and I love the discourse between Thunder fans and Mavericks fans. It's awesome to watch. Sometimes I get annoyed. I think I tweeted, like, I need the games to start so I can get this PJ Washington. Oh, we didn't have PJ, that's why y'all won. Oh, well, we didn't have Chet. I needed it off my timeline, but it's fun. You have Clay, too, who is obviously, especially in the playoffs, that dude, he's really clutch. He really is. I think he makes shots down the stretch so well. You have the Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford center rotation. I love this Mavericks team. I have my doubts. I really do. I'm worried about kind of consistent three-point shooting at times. I'm worried about the point of attack defender, especially because I think your only one is really PJ, and how great is he at that? It's a questionable thing, but moving on to the Nuggets, they've been killed by the lack of a second star, man. Jamal Murray has struggled. He looks like he's getting washed, and it sucks because he's young. But Jokic is just not. He's one of the best players. He's the best offensive player I think I'm ever going to watch in my life, and he's not enough to be able to stop or to be able to keep this Nuggets team afloat. They're going to find someone else somewhere. Russ has been a great addition. MPJ has been pretty good off the top of my mind from just what I've watched. They just have to find another guy to help Jokic and alleviate the pressure from him. The Pistons, they've been one of my most watched teams this year, surprisingly. Cade tonight had an 18 assist game. It was fantastic, and he's been the head of the snake, man. He's taken another jump, and he's a much improved playmaker. I think people are so nitpicky with him, like, oh, he turns the ball over so much, oh, he shoots a bad percentage. He's a fantastic player. I think Detroit did a great job of putting some shooting around Caden Tobias, Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley. Obviously that helps, but a guy like Zach LaVine, who could alleviate the ball handling pressure, like we've talked about like 3 or 4 times already, it would be nice to see a guy like that, come in, help Cade. I would like to see a step from Jaden Ivey, if I'm being quite honest, especially in the second half of the season and going forward from here. Maybe after the All-Star break, he just comes out rocking. I would love to see that. But the young guys have shown flashes. They've taken big leaps. I'm excited for the Pistons' future, which is not something we've said in a long time. The Golden State Warriors, they started off hot. I think they were 12-3 to start the season. One of the best defenses in the league, and then they fell off. And I had Draymond as an all-star for those first 15 games. Like, he was fantastic. Andrew Wiggins has been his championship year self. They're missing some pieces. they traded for Schroeder. I don't to alleviate pressure from Steph Curry. It's just I don't know how well that's gonna work. I'm just gonna move on to the Rockets. I'm gonna pretty much read this verbatim. The Rockets are very similar to that of a '90s team. Hard-nosed, grit and grind, defensive-oriented basketball has led the Rockets to a top seed in the West, and their offense runs through Alperen Sengun, and he's been an outstanding hub of offense through the post, whether that's making a pass out of the post, whether that's going to work and scoring himself. And then you have Tari Eason and Amin Thompson, the Terror Twins, terrorizing opponents on defense night in, night out. Dylan Brooks is still the instigator. I think we saw it a couple times in the NBA Cup. We saw it with Shingun and Cason Wallace, I believe, got into it too. Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green is a problem, though. Very inefficient backcourt. Very bad shot selection from a backcourt. I was having the conversation with one of my friends a couple days ago about Jalen Green. I just don't know what he's gonna be. I think he has a ceiling to be. If you take his ceiling at just a glance, right, and you see the shot creation, you see the shot making at times, the flashes, you see the athleticism, the speed, the ball handling ability, and you're like, this dude could be one of the best players of all time. That obviously isn't the case. That's not realistic. That's not reality. But he's a fantastic player. He's just got to find a role somehow, some way. I don't want to see him being like the Jordan Clarkson guy. I want to see him being able to help a championship contending, competing team as a starter, and I think he can. I think he has all the tools. It's just going to be buying into a role. Like Ime Udoka has this team firing on all cylinders. Can he get Jalen Green to buy in a little more? I think that's just got to be better shot selection, in my opinion. That's the big thing, and that's a lot of in between the head. Next, we have the Pacers. They've been frustrating, interesting, weird. They just started rough. Tyrese has started rough. He's been better. He's slowly building it back up. It's just it's gonna be weird. I think the biggest thing is they went from being the highest paced team to their pace is just not as much. Ironically, they're not a great pace team, not a high pace team anymore. That might be because you add Siakam, who's your leading scorer right now. I don't know, but they need to figure something out, get something clicking, and move on from there. The Clippers, they've been a fun team to watch this year, especially because they were, what a lot of people saw was going to be out of the playoffs, not so great team. I think we don't know what Kawhi is. You see only Harden on the court, and you're kind of like, ugh, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Harden's been outstanding. His shooting percentages, at times he's shooting to keep them in games. Norman Powell has been electric, absolutely killing people, super efficient. Chris Dunn, great defender. They have one of the best defenses in the NBA, and they're just suffocating people, led by Chris Dunn at the point of attack, led by Derrick Jones Jr. I mean, they've been awesome. That's why they've won so many games early. The Lakers, they've had some storylines, man. Hiring of JJ, Bronny and Braun. LeBron left for 9 days, came back, and boom. Just a weird little thing they have. They've really intrigued me. I've watched a lot of their games because of how much action they run. I'm a student of the game. I love watching that kind of stuff. And JJ's really I think he's a really great coach. I think he's going to be a great coach for the next 20, 30 years in this league. I would love to see him, get away from a LeBron-led team because I think the way he's ran this team through Anthony Davis has been outstanding. It's just hard with a guy like LeBron. It's hard with these pieces around him. It's not like I'm hating on the LeBron-led team. It's just kind of you have to play a certain style. You have to play a certain way. You have to play through LeBron because he's the GOAT. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and he's the system. So, but I do love how he's used Dalton Connect. I think it's called a Finland screen. They've been running that a lot. It's been working a lot. So, I just think they need another shooter. And is that the problem? Do they just simply need more shooting? I don't know. There's no telling. The next team is the Memphis Grizzlies, who currently stand alone as the 2 seed in the West, which is outstanding. Ja has missed 11 games. Desmond Bane hasn't been shooting the ball well. Jaren's been outstanding. Jaren's been DPOY level if Wemby didn't exist. Jalen Wells, Scottie Pippen, Jay Huff, Jake LaRavia, they find these type of guys and just make them good role players. They're the Heat. They're the Heat. That's what they are. They're kind of doing the Heat thing, except it feels like they're getting results a little quicker. So just a lot of quality role players. My two favorite players to watch this year have been Jalen Wells and Scottie Pippen. They're going to be appreciate greatness all-stars because they're fantastic. They're so fun to watch. Any given day, someone else could beat you. That's the most fun built team in the NBA. Miami next. They got off to a really slow start. Lately, they've been picking it up. They found a little starting lineup that's really helped them. They lost in overtime to the Pistons, to the aforementioned Cade 18 assist game. I really think they have a solid chance at the 5 seed. I think Bam's been bad. Not bad. He's a star, obviously, and for what you expect from him, he's been bad. That's what I'll say. He's still been good as a defensive anchor. It's just they need more. Tyler Hero, I want to give a shout out to him, and Jimmy for the most part. Jimmy's been as efficient as he's been in his career this year, but Tyler Hero should be an all-star. I think just off the top of my head, he should be an all-star. He's been outstanding this year. I'd give him the all-star nod so far. Another guy I would give the all-star nod on the Bucks, Damian Lillard. He's turned it up. Giannis and the Bucks got off to a 2-8 start. There wasn't much upside. I was looking at them. I was like, "What? I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to trade Dame. They might trade Giannis to the Rockets. Oh, no. Well, the two-man game's starting to work. Giannis playing at an MVP level. His defense has been kind of the storyline to me, how good he's played defensively. And then you have Taurean Prince and AJ Green spacing the floor. I think they're two of the top probably 5 percentage-wise three-point shooters in the league right now. They get Chris Middleton back. They got a lot going for them. They could be. I think they're another team fighting for the top 5 seed. I think they're going to be a lock. I think they might get the 3 seed with the Magic being injured here for the next probably month or so. Maybe not month. Paolo should be coming back hopefully at the end of this month. So I love the Bucks. I love what I'm seeing. Minnesota Timberwolves. Not a team I love what I'm seeing. Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo for Cat. It was such a weird move. I hated it really for the Wolves, and I still hate it. It doesn't fit. They lost their identity. I just don't know what you can do from here. I don't know where you go. And obviously you have Ant, who's a fantastic player. He's a fantastic leader. We've seen time and time again. It's just I don't know where you go from here because Julius Randle's shot diet's so weird. Rudy Gobert always wants the ball, and you have to give it to him sometimes because, listen, he's your defensive anchor. He's the best player on your defense. He leads that defense. You have to get him the ball here and there, and when he just doesn't get it, every player's kind of like, if I don't get the ball on offense, I don't want to play defense, and that's how it is. That's how basketball is. If you're not succeeding offensively, unless you just have a weird wired brain, if you're not succeeding offensively, you're not going to play as well defensively, play as hard defensively. So we've seen some of that from them. The Pels, I'm not gonna hang around on them. Been heavily injured. Their team doesn't fit too well together, but we haven't seen it. I mean, they've just been hurt. They traded Dyson Daniels, who's been one of the best defenders in the NBA. Their one plus I'll give them is Yves Missi has been outstanding. He's taking a little stride. I love to see that. So Trey Murphy's been bad. That's just realistic. I love Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy is one of my favorite players in the NBA. He's just been bad, and I expect that. I expect him to pick it up. 32% from 3 is not Trey Murphy, but constructive criticism. He needs to be better. The Knicks, they aren't as great as we thought they would be, I think. They've been kind of up and down this season, but Cat's been outstanding. Cat's been a top 3 big man in the NBA. I would say Jokic, Giannis, Cat. He's been that good. Jalen Brunson's kind of struggling. He's been great, really, but it's just like struggling in a weird way. Struggling in a way that's like he doesn't know when to go get his right now because they have so much added. Mikal and Cat are added to this team. You still have OG, who's great player, kind of fairly new still, kind of picked up in the middle of the season last year. So, they've shot the 3 really well. They still have Jalen Brunson. They still have Cat. They're going to be fine, but it's a weird little situation they have. the Thunder have been unbelievable, man. Defensively, I think they're 17-2 when they have one of Chet and Hartenstein, and they haven't had both at the same time yet this year. Insane. I think their losses were by 3-2. They're the only team in the NBA who's a plus on the steal to turnover ratio, which is insane. They're +9. The next is -49. And they just have some of the best defenders in the world on ball. J-Dub, on and off ball. J-Dub, Kaysen, Dort, Shea off the ball is getting steals all the time. Chet, Ihart has shown insane ability. Aaron Wiggins isn't that great. Kenny Williams, Kenrich Williams, Kenny Hustle, he's outstanding as well. So the Orlando Magic, number 22 of 30. Early injury to Paolo. Franz steps up, plays at it. Paolo playing at an MVP level gets hurt. Franz steps up, playing at an MVP level. I don't care if y'all don't want to hear that. He was playing at an MVP level. Defensive side of the ball, offensively, playmaking, rebounding, doing it all. He was outstanding, playing at an MVP caliber level, and he got hurt. And the Magic are still on top of the East. I think they're third seed right now. It's going to be fun to watch them. I think Goga in the first game without both of them stepped up. Suggs has stepped up a couple times. So it's fun. The way they suffocate teams on defense, they're a lot like the Rockets. I think eye test says Rockets, Magic, Thunder are the best three defenses in the league. Stats kind of say Thunder, Rockets, Magic, but Magic are up there, man. They're fun to watch. The Sixers, they're a lot like the Pels, where I don't want to harp on it. I wasn't a big fan of the Paul George move because the idea around that was, when Joel goes down, we have Paul George. Well, Paul George goes down a lot. Who do you have for that? Tyrese Maxey. But you're leaving him out to dry if you don't have both Joel or one of Joel or Paul George. And that's what we've seen. Tyrese has struggled this year. Jared McCain came in, was playing outstanding. I think he tore his meniscus, which just sucks. And Maxey's been struggling. He had a great game tonight. He had 40 tonight. But it's just, I don't know. I think they're going to get in the playoffs when it's said and done. I think they'll get healthy enough to do that. But it's just, it sucks to see, Jared McCain go down. That's really what sucks. And, Embiid's just so unlucky. A fracture somewhere in his, I don't even know. I don't remember what it's called, but a nasal fracture. Just so unlucky. The Suns, they were awesome. To start the season with KD healthy. And when KD's healthy, they look better than anyone in the NBA, or just as good as anyone in the NBA. The big difference between this year and last year has been Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, just running through a point guard, a true point guard. And that's no knock through to Devin Booker, but you want him scoring the ball. And this year he's kind of doing what we saw at Paris, where he's, defending, getting in a stance, still playing great offense, especially when KD's in there. Lately, he's kind of had to take the reins, but he's been awesome. Their rookies, Oso Ighodaro and Ryan Dunn, have been awesome. Ryan Dunn taking a step down on his shooting. He started the year hot, kind of fallen off a little bit, but he's still an absolute, insane defender. So when they're healthy, when they have KD, they are a scary, scary team, man. The Portland Trail Blazers, they have not had the season I thought they would. Now, I'm not saying I thought they were going to compete for anything. I'm not saying I thought they were going to make the play-in or the playoffs. But I am saying they've been just bad. Everyone. Anthony Simons hasn't been as good as I'd like. Shaedon Sharpe. Scoot has been bad. And there's been a lot of discourse about Scoot, too, where it's like, maybe it's time to give up on him, whatever. I think he's 21 now, maybe 20 still. I think he's 20 still, even. You can't give up on a guy like that yet. He still has some great physical tools. He's not as athletic as what I thought he was during the pre-draft process, but he's still great, right? Denny even, he still has some great physical tools. He's not a great player yet, but Denny hasn't shot the ball well either. So, you have a lot of guys who are struggling. I think the bright side is Donovan Clingan so far. He's hit a couple threes this year. He's protected the rim really well, exactly what he did at UConn. So, I think new coaching could help next year. I hope they look for a new coach. He comes in, he helps get this team together. They also they got to decide Anthony Simons for the future, or do you want to go with Scoot? Do you want to try and go all in and develop him? Because those two aren't going to correlate. They're not going to coincide together well. So 26 out of 30, we have the Sacramento Kings. For the past 2, 3, since whenever they got Demonis, they've been one of my favorite teams to watch, man. The split actions, just they've been fantastic. De'Aaron and Demonis two-man game has been so fun to watch since they joined forces. Like since the moment he got there, De'Aaron and Demonis have been awesome to watch play together. They add DeMar, and that was weird because it was like, how is this gonna fit? You know, I don't know if it has too well. I think Demonis has a career high so far. De'Aaron's playing fine. He's not playing great, I would say, but he's playing good. He's playing really good. I'm saying this with the expectations I had for him. And that being said, Keegan Murray and Kevin Huerter have struggled. Keon Ellis hasn't played enough, and those are your three, in my opinion, your three best role players. And they're two are struggling, and one hasn't even played enough. So, maybe Keon Ellis isn't one of their best role players, but to me, from what I watch, he is. I mean, he can hit the three. He plays They do that defensive player of the game, and every single game that Keon Ellis plays like a lot of minutes, he wins it. It makes no sense to me. They just got to get Keegan and Kevin going, and I think that'll happen. Keegan's always been a pretty good shooter, especially throughout his NBA career. At Iowa, he wasn't really just a catch and shoot guy, so I couldn't really tell you how well he shot it, but I know from the mid-range and post fades and from the post, that dude was cold in college, man. The Spurs, they've been outstanding, nothing short of it. 13 and 13, I believe, right now. Wemby's been incredible. He shot like 9 threes a game. I think he's hitting 33.3% of them right now. But on the defensive end, he's been DPOY. He's been outstanding. And then you have, Chris Paul, who's been just a great point guard, man. He's been getting him easier looks than what he got last year. And then Harrison Barnes I think he's shooting the best clip from three of his career. And then, you got the younger guys in Stephon Castle, Jeremy Sohan, Julian Champagnie, Malachi Branham, Trey Jones, can I keep naming them? Blake Wesley, Jeremy Sohan, I think I said him. You have all those guys. And they're clicking and they're starting to get something going. And I look at Jeremy Sohan and I'm like, some of the things he's done this year, it's outstanding. So he's definitely taking strides. It's fun to watch them. They're giving us a glance into the future of this NBA, of this league, and it's going to be a lot of Wemby. So they're going to compete for a play-in spot, and they're going to be fun to watch for the rest of the year. The Raptors, despite what the record says, despite what what they've shown, I think, or what they've shown has been much better than what their record says. That's how I'm going to put it. They've been so fun to watch at times. They stick in games, and then they lose at the end. Exactly what you want a tanking team to do. Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, RJ Barrett has been a really cool point guard, point forward type player. Scotty, when he's played, has looked fun. So they're not doing a lot of winning, but they're showing glimpses of the future with them too, and they've been fun to watch so far. The Jazz, completely honestly, I think I've watched 2 or 3 Jazz games this year. They're just not as fun. They're not fun to watch. Laurie hasn't been as good. Colin Sexton, I think, has been pretty good. John Collins has been outstanding, but other than that, it's just been kind of a lot of and there's not Cody Williams that isn't playing a lot. I don't know when he's going to play, so I'm not tuning into a game to watch Cody Williams play. Even with the Bulls, you can tune in here and there and see Modest playing and stick a little bit, but other than that, they're going for Cooper and Dillon, man. That's what they're doing. So kudos to them, but I haven't liked them so far this year. The Wizards, last team, 30 out of 30. They haven't had a good year record-wise, but you're seeing strides already from Alex Sarr. Defensively, he's been outstanding. Bub Carrington's kind of a do-it-all guard for them. Bilal's taking a step. You got to get Kuz out of there. He shoots too much for this team to develop as well as you'd want. Jordan Poole's been an excellent leader. And Bilal as a stocks guy has been fantastic. So they're a fun team to watch, and that's all 30. Catching up on the NBA. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, do y'all thing. I'm going to try and get back at this a little more consistently, even when I go to college. I'm going to try and find time, make time to get videos out there. So I hope y'all enjoyed. Like I said, if you did, leave a like, subscribe. I will catch y'all later. Peace.